Hello, thank you for joining us for today's training session on the Performance Appraisal Year-End Process and a quick HR update. Today we'll be discussing summer policies, changes to the current vacation policy, the performance engagement overview, how to complete year-end appraisals and the steps necessary to do so, and a preview of coming attractions including fall category customization and goal setting, and salary increase decision timelines. As we approach summer each year, questions arise, and we thought we'd take just a quick moment to add some clarification. One common question is hours for 9 and 10-month employees and stop dates. So to start with that, 9-month employees should conclude their work no later than May 25th. 10-month employees should conclude their work by mid-June, but no later than June 15th. For 9 and 10-month employees, there may be some intermittent work throughout the summer as they come in to check email, respond to voicemails, or maybe even process P cards. And that intermittent work is fine. However, it also needs to be recorded within the Time Clock Plus system, and employees should be punching in and out whenever they're here on campus working. Also, if this intermittent time becomes more regular, or the needs have increased, before an employee begins to work more than intermittent hours, they need to make sure that they're partnering with their supervisor, and their supervisor has gotten the approval of the appropriate cabinet member. Summer hours for 9 and 10-month employees have not been budgeted, so if employees are working beyond that, it must be approved by the appropriate cabinet member. During the summer, some departments also observe a condensed work schedule. This means that they come in and work hours longer throughout the week so that they can leave early on Friday afternoons. These hours should begin no earlier than 7 a.m. and conclude no later than 5:30 p.m. We want to make sure that there are still employees within the offices during regular business hours of operation. Offices must also remain open on Fridays, so even if employees are leaving early on Friday, there must be someone here throughout the day all the way up to the close of business to be able to answer questions, field phone calls and emails, and make sure that the business operations stay consistent. Exempt employees can also observe the condensed holiday schedule. However, if a full-time exempt employee is going to be out of the office the entire day, 8 hours of vacation time needs to be used. So when we think about the condensed schedule for summer, if an employee is going to take off a period of time that is 8 hours on a Friday, they must use vacation time. They cannot work hours over throughout the week and then not work on Fridays as an exempt employee. Payroll and the HR team will be monitoring this for compliance to ensure that employees are utilizing this process completely. We also have a couple quick changes to our vacation policy. Beginning June 30th, 2019, 13 months from now, the maximum accrual for vacation will be 1.5 times the annual max. Currently, we're at 2 times the annual max. Therefore, on June 30th, any hours beyond the maximum will be forfeited each year. Employees with high accruals receive quarterly reminders to make sure that they're using and planning for their time. Managers should also begin planning and having conversations with employees now to avoid any forfeitures of time. Before we move into a demonstration of the actual employee performance appraisal system, let's quickly review our calendar. Remember that the employee appraisal process actually started back in September when we set goals and categories for our employees. Throughout the year, we were checking up and touching base with our employees to see how things were going and to monitor progress that was being made. And then in November through January, we had the mid-year check-in process, which was a formal sit-down conversation where the supervisor and the employee had an opportunity to review the goals and determine the progress of said goals. Now is annual review time. This process, which goes now through June 30th, requires that the supervisor sit down with the employee with the completed appraisal and review the feedback with the employee in person. Once completed, the employee will also validate that the process was completed with an electronic signature. Let's log into the system and I can demonstrate how to utilize the appraisal process. To access the system, we're going to go to www www.augustana.edu. From the campus's homepage, please click on the Faculty and Staff link located at the top of the page. On the next page, you'll scroll down to the Resources section on the right-hand side, or left-hand side rather, and click on Human Resources. From the Human Resources page, on the bottom middle, you'll locate Performance Engagement. Click on the Performance Engagement screen and then click on Manager Dashboard. On your Manager Dashboard, you should be able to see all the employees who directly report to you and the ones that you're responsible for completing appraisals for. If any of your employees are missing from this screen, please contact a member of Human Resources so we can add them for you. To start today's process, we're actually going to go to Build an Appraisal. So we're going to use Lisa Sears as our example, and we're going to go over to this icon that looks like a form stack that says Build Appraisal and click on it. When you click on the Build Appraisal option, you'll notice these yellow headings come up, and these are the categories that you assigned to the employee at the beginning of the year. All employees should have had categories assigned to them as well as goals. If you didn't complete this section at the beginning of the year, you'll have to do so now. The system will allow you to be able to click on categories and assign them, or if you scroll to the bottom of the page and hit Submit, it'll default to the core categories. Once the core categories or the assigned core categories have been submitted, the screen you should see will look similar to what's on the page currently. Notice that the first one that has been assigned for this employee is collaboration and teamwork, and there's a definition of that particular category. You will be responsible for assigning a rating for each one of these categories and putting in a brief summary that supports your rating. Notice your options are outstanding performance, meaning that there is very little or no room for improvement, high performance, little room for improvement, effective performance, which is where the majority of employees will fall, meaning that everything is being completed as expected, partially meets expectations, meaning improvement is needed, or not meeting expectations, meaning improvement is required. Again, you'll select a rating for each one of these categories, put in a brief summary, and then move on to the next category, repeating that process all the way till you get to the goals section at the bottom of this page. At the bottom of the page, you should see goals in blue. If you assign goals to the employee, the goals will be listed. If you did not assign goals to the employee, you have a couple options. The first option would be to assign the goals outside the system, basically writing them down and sharing them with the employee and communicating them. But the preferred method would be to utilize the section above within the actual categories, and in the summary discuss what the goals are going to be for the upcoming year, or if you have a new employee, also talk about what they've done well so far and what you hope they would accomplish in maybe the next 30, 60, or 90 days. For those employees that you did set goals for, you'll have an opportunity to review the comments that the employee has put into the system and the status, whether or not they think the goal is still in progress, on track, off track, or does not apply. If you completed the mid-year check-in in the November timeframe, you'll note that your status that you chose as a supervisor, the on track, off track, does not apply, will be listed here in red. And you'll have an opportunity now to mark at the year-end appraisal whether this goal is on track, in danger of not being completed, or no longer relevant. Again, for each goal that was assigned, please choose the appropriate rating and put in a quick summary, maybe 1 to 2 sentences to support your rating. You'll repeat that process for every goal that has been assigned to the employee. After doing so, you'll scroll down to the very bottom of the page to give the employee an overall rating. This is important to make sure that the employee is or is not eligible for a merit increase. You only have two options, either effective performance, meaning positive ratings and goals achieved and progress has been made and the employee is eligible for an increase, or at risk for poor performance. Please note that if you select effective performance, then you also have the additional option of selecting the employee for special consideration. The special consideration box, which can be checked, allows you to recognize those employees who have gone above and beyond, not only in your department, but have helped move college strategic plans and priorities forward. Maybe they've taken on an expanded role. Maybe they've been working on a committee outside of their particular role. So these are things that are above and beyond their job description that have helped move the college forward. Again, this would not be every single employee in your department. This should be limited to only a few employees across campus. And when a special recommendation of consideration is made, each one will be reviewed by the cabinet to determine what, if any, additional compensation or bonus or time off may be given to that employee for their hard work as recognition. We would also hope that if you choose recommended for consideration of, you'd put in there what you think may be a good option or something that employee would appreciate. Also note that if you choose at risk for poor performance, the box disappears for special consideration of, because if an employee is not meeting the basic expectations for their position, they cannot be rewarded for their outstanding behavior. Once you've done so, you've given an overall rating and you have comments and ratings for every single section, you're going to hit the green submit button at the bottom of the page. This is going to send your review to the HR team for HR review. A member of the HR team will review your appraisal and provide any necessary feedback. We're looking for issues of legal compliance and concern. And when this is sent back to you, you will receive an email notification and you'll be able to review this again within the billed appraisal, review the comments, make any necessary changes before having the actual meeting with the employee. On the manager dashboard again, now you can see that there is different appraisal statuses. So because the appraisal has been sent to HR for review, it is marked as HR reviewed, HR has completed it, and now you're ready to have the go-to meeting. To have the meeting with the employee, you'll go to the icon that says have a meeting, hit start, and from the drop-down menu, select Performance Appraisal. This screen is actually what you're going to use to navigate the conversation with your employee. Our thoughts are that you'll have this screen up and the employee will be with you. You'll have your notes that you've put into the system, the notes they've put into the system, and your category ratings. You'll use this to drive the conversation with the employee, and at the end of the conversation, at the very bottom, is an opportunity for you to review their overall rating, letting them know that they are or are not eligible for a merit increase, and also put in notes. These meeting notes are specifically for the supervisor only. These are also archived for future reference. So please make sure that the information that is put in the meeting is appropriate because it'll be archived. Again, this is just a summary of how the overall conversation with the employee went. Once you were to put in your meeting notes, you would hit submit, and that finalizes the supervisor portion of the appraisal. Please make sure that when you wrap up your conversation, you notify your employee that they need to log into the performance engagement system and give an electronic signature that they have completed the process with the supervisor. The next time they log into the system, they'll automatically be prompted to validate that yes, they did or did not have the conversation. Once they say yes, then the signature is sent to Human Resources to finalize the process and the information is archived. Back on the manager dashboard page now, you can see that I've had my meeting with the employee and my appraisal status is completed. The green completed means that the step is absolutely 100% finalized and the appraisal for this employee is done for the year. If you have additional questions or concerns, please reach out to any member of the Human Resources team. Thank you so much for your time today.